FIFA 97 would be the second release in the iconic series to be seen on the PlayStation. It would also get a release on Windows PC, the Nintendo Game Boy, Sega Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, and across a wide array of platforms. That would increase the popularity of the actual FIFA brand itself, and it was also the first game in the series to fully utilise 3D graphics and polygonal characters across the board that would move away from the elements seen in FIFA 96. It would also be the first game in the series to implement many different features from the likes of indoor soccer modes, and even would use motion capture for the player movements and physics. That in its own right was quite ahead of its time, but at the same time it was also considered to be one of the more lackluster elements and even games in the series. Again, because with the transition from the elements seen in FIFA 96 to 97, the game was criticised due to the sluggish nature of the controls and the gameplay, feeling it to be very slow and lethargic, and it didn't feel as all that realistic, while others complimented its use of the motion capture features and the indoor soccer feature, which in my own personal opinion is definitely the best feature I think in the game. It's definitely easier to pick up and play. It does have some really good elements in it that definitely warrants a playthrough, and it's interesting to see the early 3D adaptations of FIFA games on the PlayStation and even on the consoles at the time. But from having played it, comparing it to the likes of the ever popular FIFA 98 Road to World Cup, it does pale in comparison, because FIFA 98, although considered not to be the best soccer game ever, it is one of the most popular games of all time, and it improved greatly on FIFA 97 short givens to a point that it perfected everything that FIFA 97 didn't do, and that is why it went on to become one of the most popular games of all time, and definitely one of the best soccer games in my opinion to be seen on the PlayStation. But it definitely set the trend and set the foundations for what would be built upon later with FIFA 98, because it already had various elements in terms of its atmosphere, the commentary, the likeness of the players, the graphics, the movement, the various characteristics that would obviously be perfected with later entries in the series. But when you do play this game compared to the later entries, you will definitely notice the differences, and it is a lot more sluggish and harder to pick up and play in terms of its various elements that it has to offer. But there's more than enough here, like with any of the FIFA games, to keep you coming back for more. Like, there's access to various different modes. It is the line out of players that would have been accurate to that time period, with different various audio elements, with great use of the likes of the commentary and sound effects that would have been very reflective of the time. And that was the one cool thing that the FIFA games genuinely always did get really well, was the atmosphere that it presented, and this game did have that, although may not be as well executed. But the fact is, it was the first entry into the 3D realm, like full 3D realm of games. It definitely was going to have its flaws to some degree, but for what it did do really well. But in fairness to the game, regardless of its flaws, the game still sold really well, because again, FIFA at the time was the dominant, always becoming the dominant force in soccer games within the football genre, and this game, like all the rest of them, did sell really well too. Now, from my own personal experience, I didn't get to play FIFA 97 until years later, but I did have FIFA 97 on the Sega Mega Drive, and I actually really enjoyed it. I love to play the indoor soccer mode on it. I just really enjoyed that. Now mind you, I'm not the best at football games, and I definitely wasn't the best at the FIFA games back in the day, but it still didn't stop me from playing them. I always would keep trying to get some use out of it to all intents and purposes. But where I really got into the franchise was with FIFA 98 Road to World Cup, because that's my favourite FIFA game pretty much of all time. I really enjoyed that game. But it is interesting to go back and to see these early adaptations of titles, and even more so to see what games looked like during the early days of 3D, and see the transition between different iterations, like when you look at the likes of FIFA 96 and then moving forward to FIFA 97 and then to FIFA 98, and you can see drastic changes between all of those initial games. So it is interesting just to experience that progress alone. And I would love to know your thoughts on FIFA 97 for the PlayStation, if you have played it yourself, and if so, what do you think of the game overall? I mean, even what version of the game did you actually play, and what console did you play it on mostly back in the day? Be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see more content around other types of soccer games also released on the PlayStation, and you can check out the playlist here on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.